Day 16, how are we looking? Just a very tiny amount in profit, 16 cents at the moment. Price not below the 5-period average yet, but it is creeping there. We did see the low get below that average. Maybe if we could have a day where that low is the close, be nice to snag some profits. See if we've got any other trade entries out there. Euro US dollar looking like it could get to a signal in the next couple of days. RSI 90.23, getting very close to overbought, and price well below our 200-period moving average. Let's have a green candle like that one, and we'll get that signal. On the Great British Pound US dollar chart, if you'd taken that sell signal on Friday, at the moment, well, yeah, you'd be a touch in profit, maybe about 13, 14 pips or so. We've got the New Zealand dollar US dollar chart here. And let's not forget that we did have the option of getting into a trade on this chart, a sell trade, instead of the sell trade on the Australian dollar US dollar chart. And how would that be going? Yeah, not so good. Good thing our filtering system took us into the Australian dollar US dollar trade. That's how it looks at the moment, at least. Another green day for the US dollar against the Japanese yen. One more of those and we'll likely see overbought territory once more. And the Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar would still be in your favour if you took that sell signal right up here and rode it down. Actually an oversold territory now, RSI at 4.15. Euro CAD coming green today. If we could finally see a couple more of those candles, doesn't seem likely with this current trajectory, but if we could, might be a good sell-off opportunity if it can get into the overbought territory. We are getting a genuine signal, a signal that we can take. Sell signal on the New Zealand dollar, Canadian dollar pair. Feels a little bit risky to sell off the New Zealand dollar at the moment, but we do see our price below the 200-period moving average, and we see our 2-period RSI up at 96.48. Just check the remaining pairs, see if there's any other signals out there. Getting an overbought signal on the New Zealand dollar Swiss franc pair as well, but in this case price is above the average, so no signal there. That means we can focus on our New Zealand dollar Canadian dollar pairing. And as we don't have any other trades going for our New Zealand dollar or Canadian dollar, let's pull up the average true range. We have got a reading on the ATR of 60.5 pips, so it'll be 1% risk for that distance. And so you can see our risk, you can see how it's all calculated. And that means we can punch in 0.18 as our volume, and we can click that red button there to sell off the market. We are in no stop loss to set, as we know. We're hoping that it's going to come down below that moving average, the 5-period white line there. A few days like that and we'll be looking groovy. That's all we need to do though, so this time tomorrow we'll see how both our trades are getting on. Day 17, neither of our trades going well. Let's look first at the Australian dollar US dollar trade. Well, it ranged for those first 2 days as we saw. Now it's taken a big green candle. We wanted the exact opposite of this. That went for about 63 pips. If we got it down there, that'd be some nice profit. As is, no good at all. About $85 down at the moment on that one. And our New Zealand dollar, Canadian dollar trade. Also not going very well. We had a run of 4 pretty green candles, and now we've seen a really big one. This candle almost instantly rules out the idea of profit. That 5 moving average is going to chase it quick, and we are going to want to see it come down pretty sharp so we don't lose too much money here. Not a nice position to be in after just 1 day in the trade. RSI now up at 98.94. See if there's any other trades out there. Euro Swiss franc edging closer. If we see a green day, it'll be overbought territory under the 200 average. Not in either of the Euro Swiss franc at the moment as well, so we'd be comfortable getting into that one. It's happening again for the yen, weaker it gets. On the euro yen here we see that RSI up at 99.84, almost touching a perfect 100. Can't get into this one, but we'll keep an eye on it as it goes. It's the euro US dollar pair, RSI at 96.65, that is overbought, and there is a good distance between price and the moving average. This isn't a fast mover either, and the candle looks good too. It's a potentially nice trade here to sell off the euro. We'll miss out on it though and just hope that our Australian dollar US dollar trade comes back to the good instead. Can't get into this one, but the Aussie dollar Swiss franc, that is giving us a sell signal. RSI has just got across 95.78, price not gone across that moving average. So you would be able to sell off this market. Australian dollar, Canadian dollar, same story. Overbought territory, but you can barely even see the moving average. That is it there. Price is very far below it. Lots of sell signals coming on the Australian dollar if you are keen to get in on the trades. New Zealand dollar, Japanese yen, RSI at 99.91. Tip a little more. Let's have another green day. See if we can get to 100 for the first time. No new signals for us. We do have our 2 trades going, so we're just going to think happy thoughts and hope that Oceania, the Australasia area of the world, just has a bit of a bad time for the next few days. Sell off that New Zealand dollar, sell off the Australian dollar. Let's build up some profits. Day 18, RSI-2. It's $300 down in our active trades. Oof. Australian dollar, US dollar. Let's pull up the trade history for it so we can see where we got in. There it was. 2 days ago we were in that low right there. That seems like it was going to be the time. We really could have done with that because it is another green day for the Australian dollar. RSI up at 97.85. Back in the overbought territory for the second time in quick succession. If you didn't get in on that first signal, you could get in on this one. Tempted? Not going so well for us, but we hope for the return. It's around about $150 down for us on that one, which still isn't quite as bad as our New Zealand dollar, Canadian dollar trade. We've only been in it 2 days and both of them pretty heavy green candles. $165 down. I don't see a lot of coming back from this one, but we will wait. We trust in that mean reversion. It's got to come sooner or later. We'll see. Let's see if there's any other trades out there. Euro US dollar. If you'd got into a sell trade there, loaded up on your risk, sold it off, that'll be moving against you now as well. RSI up at 98.33 pushes deeper into that overbought territory. Not the trade for us. Pound US dollar giving the signal now as well. We've seen that before a few candles ago. It would have been a sell trade there if we weren't already in a trade of the US dollar, and that wouldn't be going so well either. About 80 pips against us. Back in the overbought territory though. Second time might be the charm if you want to get on that one. And look at the run on the New Zealand dollar, US dollar. That's why you would have been in right there with the overbought signal. Makes us feel good that we got in the Australian dollar trade instead. Just after a few days, it would be 2.5% against us, around about 170, 180 pips. That ain't no good trade to be in. US dollar Swiss franc giving the signal as well. Obviously can't get into it already being in that great US dollar trade. And this one would be going in favor of the US dollar as well because it has gone into the oversold territory. RSI at 4.79. We'd be getting into a buy trade and hoping for a bounce. We'll try and keep an eye on it. Signal on the Aussie dollar CAD as well. If you want to get selling off the Australian dollar on 3, 4, 5 pairs, it's there for you. Money to be made. We are in overbought territory, once again asking for a sell-off. Got to resist the call. And the strength of the New Zealand dollar against the Japanese yen. RSI now up at 99.95. We are so close to seeing it at 100. Bring a small green, why not? We want to see it. And same on the Euro New Zealand dollar. Sell off the Euros, buy the New Zealand dollars. We've got the RSI in super oversold territory, 0.33. We want to see it get down to 0.00. Let's get there. And the Great British Pound is even lower against the New Zealand dollar. RSI at 0.28. That has got to bottom out soon. We are really hoping that people lose faith in Australasia because we are just seeing the Australian dollar, the New Zealand dollar strengthen and strengthen. Not what we want. We are selling them off. And we've got to wait for that price to recross the moving average. So we'll wait. Day 19, not a bad day for us. Let's start with the Australian dollar, US dollar trade. We can see it's come back quite a bit to our favor. Not in profit yet though. It's still around about $75 down, including the swap. And also price not getting quite below that 5-period moving average yet. So maybe there is still a chance to sneak some profits tomorrow, right before the weekend. Saw a candle here about 52.5 pips. If we see another one of those tomorrow, oh yes, that would get us just about back into profit and we could close off the trade as the price moves below the average. No action for us at the moment though, it's not quite there yet. The New Zealand dollar, Canadian dollar pair, not quite as heavy as our Australian dollar sell-off, but still at least we're seeing a red day. Even at $130 down, we are not giving up hope. What we could do for, I mean obviously one big massive red day that could get us there would be nice, but we need a little bit of luck, maybe get there in 2 days. So if we could drop down to about there, keep us just in line with the average, and then have one of these big sell-off days. There is still a chance for profit, but the train is about to leave the station. No action on this one either. See if we've got any new entries out there. Some of these currencies are now getting sold off to the favor of the Japanese yen. So if your strategy here is to say, well, if it gets above 95 into that overbought territory and stays there for 5 days, hey, maybe then it's time to sell off. And if that's you, it's proved pretty well here, especially if you've gone all in on a lot of different Japanese yen pairs. Confident stuff. The sell-off potential on the euro US dollar that we had as well. Yeah, I wouldn't be looking too bad. I think it went into the overbought territory there. So you wouldn't be in profit at the moment, about 14 pips down. You'd have another day though. It's not quite closing below the moving average. Very close, very close. Still be in it though. And this pound US dollar, if you got in on the second overbought signal, that would be about 40 pips towards you at the minute. There's a sell-off of the pound against the yen. If yesterday you jumped into a buy trade on the US dollar Swiss franc, not so good for you at the moment. We've seen another red day here. Plenty of time though. Another day of red on the Canadian dollar Swiss franc, and that'll be a buy signal. The RSI is at 5.18, starting to get deeply oversold. Price is above the average. Let's see if that signal comes. No trade entries for us, but we can at least finish the night with a bit of positivity. These trades, both of them, have moved back to our favor, and we can see where the gateway to profit is. It's just whether we have that bit of luck to get there as well. We'll find out this time tomorrow. Day 20 for the RSI-2. Not too much movement on either of these trades. Let's start with the Australian dollar, US dollar. I mean, really no movement at all from what we've seen yesterday, and it is not quite beneath that moving average. That is incredibly close to crossing beneath it. Has had a low that was beneath there, but at the moment, not quite a close. Hopefully we don't live to regret that. We'll stay with that one. The RSI now floating around mid-value, 43.52. And on our New Zealand dollar, Canadian dollar trade, again, this one will stay open for the weekend. Not much movement, but we did see some. We saw quite a bit of a low on this one. That would come close to us not actually taking too much of a loss. Still a loss, around about 30 pips thereabouts. So certainly not ideal. But this is about what we asked for. A bit of a red day that doesn't quite go over as a setup for a really big red day, getting us beneath the entry price, snagging that little bit of profits, mayhaps. Yeah, pretty unlikely. See if we've got any other trades. Euro Great British Pound heading towards that overbought, even though it's been a downtrend. Price beneath the average. If you see a green day like that again, it'll go into overbought territory. And we might be in with a sell trade, especially since we actually don't have any trades open on the Euro or the Great British Pound at the moment. So we are free for either of those currencies. Signal on the US dollar Swiss franc remains. You got it back here originally, but you've seen 2 more red days since then. If you got into a buy trade, not a good signal. Also on the US dollar Japanese yen pair, enough of a pullback that we're seeing the RSI down at 5.56. Get one more red day in there, and we could see that cross into the oversold territory, giving us a signal, a buy signal. We've seen a couple nice moves there, so if we get out of this US dollar trade, get into this one, yeah, there's potential. A lot of ifs and buts there. If you'd been in this Australian dollar Swiss franc trade, either of these candles would have been good at sell trade points for you, coming down there, about 50-60 pips in that range. Would have been nice, would have been nice. Signal does come on the Canadian dollar Swiss franc, or we shan't be taking it, but it is a buy signal right there. No new trade entry signals for us tonight, but we do still have these 2 great trades here, setting us up perfectly for a couple big red candles. Sell off on the Aussie dollar, sell off on the New Zealand dollar, buying up those North American currencies, the US, the Canadian. All we can do is hope, and then just come back in 72 hours time to see if our dreams have come true. We'll take a quick look at the journal though before we swan off into the weekend sunset. Not looking so pretty, same as last week in terms of the closed trades that we've got. Just that one, giving us a total down of $162.43. Although I have to say, I think it's quite likely that these trades are also a loss. So by the next time we look at the journal, I don't think this figure is going to be any prettier. We can hope though there's still a chance. This week we opened 1 new trade, the New Zealand dollar Canadian dollar pairing. Just like the others so far, bad performer. You might have to look at boosting that signal so it's overbought if it's above 98, it's oversold if it's beneath 2. Something really, really far into those territories. Because so far this ain't working out, but kudos to you if you are still watching and hoping that the strategy does turn around. Because at the moment it is getting beaten pretty bad. Plenty of time for the charts to turn around on us though and give us some profits. At least let's get a couple winning trades out of it. See how that feels. We'll be back.